Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and you know baby Stella, or should I say toddler Stella, 16 months old now. So today I am repotting, not by choice, but I got a couple of 3D printed pots from Laura when she found out that she was pregnant with Stella, and she got me one pot. Actually, it's right here. It's a bassinet. And then she got me a couple of 3D printed pots, and one is the bottom half of a female, and the second is the top half of a female. And she said because of these two things, we ended up here with the bassinet. It was a fun joke, great gift. But unfortunately, 3D pots they're no match for the root system of an Adenium or desert rose. So today I'm going to put it in a rectangular bonsai pot. And probably tomorrow I'll get time. She gave me also a ponytail palm, so they'll both be getting repots now. Stella is trying to get into my cinnamon that we'll be using for the cutting of this desert rose, and all of my tools. And now, yes, let's touch everything. Let's just get it out of our system. Okay. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but I'm gonna prune this Adenium and the desert rose, so we're gonna get a cutting and a new planting, and then I'm going to repot the original mama plant into a proper bonsai pot. So that and this crazy baby are what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, so Stella's just so persistent at wanting to be a part of the intro. I swear she sees this stuff. She's like, oh, this will really mess with my daddy. I need to be in it. So anyways, she really just fries my brain. I can't remember anything I was going to say, what point I was trying to make. Not that I'm the sharpest tool in the shed always. But so today we've got my root rake. These are for thicker pruning, which I will be taking off this main part, I believe. I've got my finer scissors if I want to take off a smaller branch or maybe cut back some of the older leaves. I don't really have a plan for this per se because I was just letting it grow up. I had never had one before. I have not pruned this tree yet. All I've done is potted into this pot a couple of years ago. Literally, 2 years ago. Maybe it was Valentine's Day or something like that. Or Father's Day. No, it was probably, yeah. It was probably in February. Okay. So, this is our pot. Some nice butt cheeks there. And this root system has just grown feverishly through it. So it'll probably be easier to work with if I just prune this top piece off first. I've got some nice, some finer soil that's good for cacti and baby roots and things like that. It's not like an akadama or a true bonsai soil by any means. But it's got probably a third compost, a third moisture control topsoil, and then a third perlite and vermiculite. So I also have these, which these are biodegradable little sacks that I cut in half. You could either grow seedlings in them and then just plant the whole thing, or I like to cut them in half and I use them as drainage screens. They work really well. They really don't biodegrade. I haven't seen one like disappear yet. Even with my outdoor pines and such that have been out for a few years, you can still see remnants of these around some of the bases. So, as you see, that came completely off, so that's done. So what I want to do is I want a nice big cutting. I watched a few videos online and basically want a nice big cutting. dip it in some cinnamon, which is always finely ground, and then let it dry out for a couple weeks. Or for a week, excuse me. So I figure I'll do this now, and then after Thanksgiving, get through next weekend. Following Monday, I will pot up the cutting. Boom. I really like that as a single trunk because I have a thing for palm tree scenes, and most tropical trees, depending on how you cut them or grow them, they could really represent a palm tree nicely. So that's really attractive. I haven't gotten any flowers this year. I believe last year I got a couple, but honestly, I have so many trees, and Laura having Stella and stuff, I would be lying to you if I said I remembered accurately. So I watched one video and both ends were removed, and she did this along the bottom, which I've done before with cuttings to kind of expose the membrane to get rooting hormone powder to it. And in this case, we're doing the cinnamon. And then she cut off the top, and I'm pretty sure she rolled that in cinnamon too. So I might just leave the top for now, and then tonight or tomorrow morning when it's nice and early and I have concentration and time to myself, I'll go through and find out for sure what I want to do. So if you already know and you have an Adenium and you want to just save me the time, put it in the comments. I will most likely listen to you. So if I should just nip off this tip too, and then let it dry out, and then plant it next week, let me know if you think I should keep the top on, because it's not exactly a very established tree, even though it's a nice cutting. It is still relatively young. Let me know that as well. Smells like cinnamon here. Yeah, cool. So I'll just set this aside. Boom, boom. And I even already have a pot picked out for that bad boy, so that'll be cool. To be continued. All right, let's see if we can even get this thing out without cracking the rest of the pot. Not that it matters. All right. I'm just gonna have to crack it, no pun intended. Or is it? Yeah, so I was looking at this pot this morning and I'm like, that's a pretty cool one. And then I have very similar color and shape with the little legs that I'm gonna pot the Ponytail into as well. So they were in relatively close to matching pots before, and they will in their next phase of life as well. I knew these little pots weren't gonna last, but it was a fun gift. And they were small enough. But you could literally see how it was printed in circularly. All right. I don't have any idea why I did it over this pot. That's a bad idea. So let me start over here. Soil down there. Keep cleaning this thing out. Get my drainage screens in the pot. So some of the roots come up a little bit higher than others, but that might make for a nice feature, so I'm not going to remove them either. Plus, I don't know that this place even has a clue where it is, since it's only been grown indoors in Northwest Connecticut, which is truly not an indigenous location for it. So who knows if it's in some sort of dormancy phase or a slow growing phase where if I mess with the roots a lot, they might not come back and I would be screwed. All right, so these are like, this is kind of wild root base. Reminds me of like a potato root. Beetroot. Yeah, beetroot. Like a golden beet. Stella is literally in the back room yelling, "Dad, Dad." Oh man, the kid is wild. And it's not my first child. I have a 16-year-old Francesca, and so I always say this to Laura. I'm like, Stella's crazy. I'm like, trust me. She's like, you forget about Franny. I'm like, nope. I would remember this craziness. All right, cool. So this is probably the culprit. This root here, and that will probably, it's really thick. That will probably hinder the way I want to plant this as well. So I think I'm going to cut that out of there. Just remove that part. That'll be garbage as well. If we could get these to kind of come out and crawl along the surface, that would be fun. So, it did really well in this soil. Do I want to reuse it? It looks pretty rough and very basic. So I'll go with my concoction. Get a little in the base here. Work it around. Make it up a little bit. Let's try this. Oh yeah, I think I like that. Why would I close this? The Senegal Netherlands match is on right now, second half. About 70 minutes in, 0-0. My broski Ian at Back Garden Bonsai. We were chatting about it, and I was talking about how Senegal is going to be my dark horse for the World Cup. And because of Sadio Mane from Liverpool, well, now Bayern Munich, and what a terrible fan I was being. I didn't realize that he was injured. So what a huge hit for Senegal, but they're obviously playing well to be 0-0 with Netherlands second half. So I'll just continue to raise the soil level, and then I'll go through with my root rake and just kind of work it down in there. While doing my best to keep the roots that I want coming out on the surface going into the soil to be coming out from the trunk line at least, and not growing against it, which some of them were. Probably one more go around. I believe this guy had mealies and or scale at one point. Or white flies. I think it was white flies and mealies, yeah. And quite hardy. Did not really get affected by it. Quite resilient. Cleaned it off. And even most of the leaves stayed. So, pretty cool species. This out of the way. All right, cool. Bring y'all in. Right, so nice little vertical look here. You see these roots coming out from the trunk now. I'm always a fan for weird, bulbous, gnarly roots. I know some people are not, but I absolutely love surface roots that are just totally whacked out. Let me show you one of these. Let me show you on the mama pencil cactus. You see this crazy gnarly root ball just going everywhere. Obviously this is going to need some attention maybe next year, but I just really enjoy that as a characteristic. Alright, so it looks a little bit cluttered, so I might remove a few of the lower leaves. And just to give you a close-up of this one, that is the cinnamon-covered edge that we're going to let dry out. Single top, that'll make a beautiful planting. I might change the pot I chose. Now I'm thinking because it's taller already, I might want to put her in a big pot, just let it grow. It's always nice to have, you know, some miniaturized, some medium sized, and relatively full sized. Like over there, got larger tropicals like that. Right, so let's get in here. I'm just going to remove, there's some discoloration with some of the leaves at the lower ends of the branches. So I'm just going to go around and remove some of them. See if it opens it up enough. We can get some new shiny leaf growth here. Some of these larger, older leaves, just get rid of them. Alright, boss. You know, if you see leaves on any of your trees and they're already like kind of damaged, yellowish, have burnt ends. They're not, though, that actual leaf is never going to recover and get normal again. If it's, you know, a little droopy, dehydrated on some houseplants and such, yeah, they'll pop right up. Or like if you have a chili pepper bonsai, they'll pop right up and look like new. But if you get discoloration, you know, whether from insecticide, from an insect, or just age or sunburn, it's not going to recover. It's never going to look good. You know, like this little one. You see how it's kind of like wrinkly? That's probably because it was a part of the insect infestation, and it got sprayed, and then was in a hot part of the sun in the window, and it got cooked. Some of these inner ones here. Just want a little separation between the branches, you know? I haven't seen any branches that stick out to me like I don't like them. It almost has a really nice spread for a desert rose. I've seen the more, you know, 1, 2, 3 stalks coming up, and then, you know, longer, taller branches. Maybe because it's so immature. But rarely have I seen it where it just has a whole lot of branches below, like almost to bushiness in a way. So that's really cool. I may in the future decide to remove these, but they may come in and be my favorite little feature here. So just making sure they're making contact there. Yep. It's all in there. And I also got to see if I'm supposed to water this in or let this guy kind of chill out for a week or so. I guess we'll figure that out. So why don't I take you on the exit and show you the ponytail palm, and then we'll get out of here. All right, so this is the top half of the 3D printed pots, and you say, yes, that is a beautiful base to the start of a ponytail palm. This thing didn't even have roots to really sit up in the pot. It was just a tiny little nub, and I'm loving the multicolors here. This reddish pinkish hue coming up, and light green. So yeah, we're gonna get that into this pot. There isn't going to be any pruning on that. I'm just going to leave it full and healthy and let it go. But, all right. So it sounds like Stella's a bit cranky, so I'm going to go help Laura out. And, hey, y'all. Hope your winter has not been so abrupt as ours. Ours swooped in with 14-degree weather this morning, but it's all good. Luckily, we have some tropical trees that we can mess with, and desert trees that we can mess with during the winter. Keep us busy. So I hope y'all are keeping busy, having fun. If you know a lot about the Adenium, please hook me up. And if not, hopefully you learned a little something with me today. So I'm Jared Paul, and from my family, yours, cheers.